The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. They say the wind does not break a tree that is leaning on a rock. For years, the West expected the Malian state to crumble under pressure. But after the coordinated attack on April 25th, 2026, the world is seeing a rock that will never move. That will never move. We are not just talking about a counter-offensive. We are talking about a total shift in Russian military doctrine in the Sahel. Russia is no longer just assisting. No longer assisting. They are preparing to defend Mali with everything they have. This weekend was supposed to be the end of AES. 12,000 militant, Western hardware, and suicide strike on the defense minister. But look at the response from the Kremlin and the Ministry of Defense. While the media focuses on the retreat from Kabul, they are missing the bigger picture. Russia is considering its forces in the south to create impenetrable fortress around the capital. Dmitry Peskov's statement was clear. Restoring stability is a top priority, but the African core action speaks louder. They didn't just repel a coup, they have moved to secure the legitimate authority at all costs. This is the total defense protocol. Not like the way they made it look as if Russia has abandoned us and Russia was incapable. Let's look at the evidence in the link. Why were drones and attack helicopters used with such irreparable force? Because identify this as the Malian front of a larger global conflict. The recovery of Singer and Mestra missile has changed the rules of engagement. Russia is now treating the Sahel not as a counter-insurgent, but as a conventional battleground. We are seeing the deployment of heavy equipment and precision strikes that suggests Moscow is preparing to bring its full military weight to ensure that AES does not fall. They aren't fighting rebels. They are neutralizing foreign-backed invasion force. Foreign-backed invasion force. The death of General Sadio Kamara was intended to be a decapitation strike. Instead, it has become the catalyst for a more permanent Russian presence. By targeting the architect of the alliance, the sponsors have forced Russian hand. You don't retreat when your closest strategic partner is in trouble or is assassinated. You escalate. And that is why we are seeing that Russia is now more aggressive. The meeting between Colonel Waiter and the Russian ambassador on April 28th confirms this. The energy is no longer about training. It is about a unified command. We must be protected. That is the message. The decapitation failed. The state stands. And Russia has signaled to the world that any attempt to overthrow the Malian government will be met with full military capacity of the African core. The Sahel is no longer a vacuum like they wanted. It is a fortress protected by a partnership that is now written in blood and steel. They expected Russia to retreat, but Russia is coming stronger. A man who stands with a giant does not fear the shadows. Mali has chosen a giant, and Moscow has made it move. The battle for the Sahel has just entered its most decisive phase. This is the latest Dodging One. Please subscribe. Now, Africans, we need to understand that as Russia is preparing to come into the game, we also have our role to play. This is not a time for us to sit down expecting that Malians should deal with their problem. This is the time for us to prepare to back the people who are coming into the continent to support us. We saw what happened in Iran. When everything was given to them, the people rose up in unity. That is the unity and the spirit that we need to boil in us right now. As Africans, we must see our brothers and sisters suffering in Sahel as our own. If Sahel is finally free, the rest of the continent will be free. As African Union is sitting here issuing statement, Russia is acting. African leaders prefer to stand and watch when another African country is in trouble. It is now your own headache. Fight it by yourself. But now, we've seen that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso long saw this danger, and that was the reason to which they decided to move towards Russia. And Russia has never abandoned us. Russia has now entered into Mali in full force. And the message is simple. Whoever tries to touch the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso will meet what they never expected. Because what we saw on the 25th was not just insurgents. A coordinated attack means that people are planning. And that is the reason to which we are seeing co-chairing of events with African leaders. So that when things are boiling, we sit and only issue statement. And the best, because we don't want to have issues with them, is to just keep mute and watch our brothers and sisters burn. Because you call it upon yourself, you can just obey and allow them to continue to take their resources. After all, the people that we are leading are not our family members. That has been the problem of the African leader. But with Russia, we know the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are secured. The revolution is secured. And there's nothing that is going to make us backwards anymore. Sometimes some of us say that we need to move away from every partner. Some leaders even say Russia is not also the solution. But now that there's problem in the Sahel, those of you Africans who sit here and claim that moving from the West to Russia is not the solution. What is the solution you have provided for the leaders in Sahel? And one thing you need to understand as Africans, no man is an island. What happened in Iran should teach you a lesson. That is why we are looking for allies. Without the allies helping Iran, Iran wouldn't have been able to stand. And you, the people in Africa with nothing, and all that you have is your nuclear family. Can you use that nuclear family to do what happened in Mali? We have to stop deceiving ourselves just because we don't want to fall victims or have problems with the West. So we can take a clear stand. We need allies to protect and support us. So anyone who has this mentality that Africans don't need allies, we need to wake up. Even before it got to our time, we always have allies. And that is why you look for friends. What are friends for? So the time for us all to start understanding that for now we are not even dependent. We are not fully on our own. And even when we are fully on our own, we still need people to align ourselves with. Because in time of trouble, these are the people who come and help you. So that's the latest around the world. And in Russia,